Hello, welcome to our program. I'm Dr. Joe Beam. Typically, if you watch this program, you would expect my partner to be Dr. Kimberly Holmes. Well, Dr. Holmes is tied up on a project today. She has a very severe deadline she's working on. Every once in a while, you actually may see her in the background here, so she's not ignoring you. She's just really, well, there she is right there. I see her in the background. She's really tied up on this project and has a deadline she's got to get it done by. Our telephone number here, let's see. I don't see that number. Can you help me with it? I know you're pointing at it, but I don't know what it is here.
Down there.
Oh, 615. Thank you, Jason. Jason's our producer. 615-912-2998. That's 615-912-2998. If you'd like to talk to me, then we'll be glad to talk to you and see if we can help you with some situation. We're going to start here with a call with Jen from New Jersey. Hi, Jen. How may we help you today?
Hi, Dr. Beam.
Hello.
Thank you for taking my call. I hope you don't mind. I have my friend Sue with me here, who's been a rock for me. But my question is, I've done the Solo Spouse Workshop, and I'm in Dr. Kimberly's master class for the pies.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really struggling with holding on to hope and continuing to pray, but also building friendship. And
Mm-hmm.
I just find myself ruminating constantly about this. Just to give you a little context, my father died February 25th
I'm so
of
sorry.
pancreatic cancer. Thank you. And it was an incredibly emotional time.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband looked to him like the father figure that he never had. And ironically, the year prior, my brother kept bringing his LO by the family, and my husband was appalled by it. And then he literally turned around, and within 5 weeks of my dad's death, said he's done with me and is now hanging out with my daughter's friend's mom. And they really had no relationship. It wasn't like a close family friend. And he's fast-tracking this divorce. And
Okay, so let me
now
make sure I
bringing
understand
the
something here,
children by
Jen.
her.
You're saying that he's involved with this woman? Is that correct?
Yes, he's involved with her.
Okay, and so
And
is it an emotional thing, a sexual thing, both?
I am assuming both at this point.
What
He
do
tried to
you
bring
know?
them. I know he sleeps over there. I
Okay.
know he's just saying that they're friends.
Okay.
And now he's bringing my children by her and her daughter.
How old are your children?
And 10 and 11. And their whole world has been rocked with Grandpa dead.
I'm sure
Grandma
that's right. Now, when you first
been
started,
denied.
you said that
And now,
someone is with you, but I didn't catch who that was. Who is it with you?
my girlfriend, my friend Sue is with me, who's been like my rock through all of this.
And how has she been your rock?
By helping. Well, in the very beginning, she was like, I'd kick him to the curb, and I was telling her about Marriage Helper, and she was like, okay, what do you need? We're staying positive. So she's been helping me stay positive with the marriage principles that I teach her from you teaching me.
Okay, good. Now, I heard you mention the workshop. Did you say that you have been in the workshop?
I've done the solo workshop.
I see.
I asked my spouse to attend. He said if he did it, he would do it alone. I asked him again to consider. I sent him the video. I said, I get it's about marriages, but it will help us with co-parenting. Please consider. And he didn't reply back to that.
I understand.
But
So what can I do for you,
he
Jen? How
filed.
may I help you?
I guess I'm just trying to understand how I stay positive, try and build this friendship, hold hope without being so consumed by it all. But also, do I put in a stop with him bringing our children by this woman? He brought them on. I
What
told
do
him
your
once I
children
didn't
think
like
about
it.
that?
Well, when I first caught them, together. It was actually my wedding anniversary, and they sent this little girl to my house for a sleepover. And I just had a feeling something was off.
Uh-huh.
So I went by the house, and I caught him there. And so that next day, he was just yelling and vilifying me and telling me everything was over. So in loss of my emotions, I said I caught Dad in an inappropriate relationship.
Okay, so you
with your
told the
friend's mom.
kids. You told the kids that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And that
So
was back in May.
how do they feel about going over to where he is?
Well, now, like, my son has been very verbal, telling him, why can't you be here? You're a cheater. But now, because Dad's barely around, now they're just, I think, excited just to spend time with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he went from being a very involved father to...
Okay. And so why do you
barely
not want them to
around.
go over there?
I don't want them to go over there because I believe they're going to find out that he's sleeping there, and he's sleeping there with her little girl who's there throughout the week. She's divorced. So
Okay, and that little
they
girl
will-
is
my
friends with your
children-
daughter, correct?
Yeah, only for the past year. They live in the next town.
Okay. Well, if
And
he's sleeping
they'll be
there while
crushed.
that daughter is there, then your daughter, in all likelihood, knows, wouldn't you think?
Well, they've only hung out once or twice. And
But when your
once
daughter
they
goes over there,
accidentally bumped
when your
into-
daughter goes
no,
over
no,
there,
no. My daughter does not. My daughter does not go over there
just the
anymore.
son.
None of them go over there.
Oh.
However, December 31st, he took them bowling, and the
Okay.
mother and the little girl were there.
All right, so I
So my
misunderstood
fear
what
is
you
the
were
more
saying.
they
So the
hang
time he's
out,
spending, the
yeah.
time that the children are spending with him, typically it's just with him and not with the other woman and her daughter. Is that correct?
As far as I know, but
Okay, all right, so I
now
misunderstood
I'm
earlier.
hearing it'll be more.
Okay, so you am I to assume that you believe that this relationship is a limerent relationship?
Absolutely. I mean, he wrote me a Christmas card December 25th saying how I'm the love of his life. He wrote a letter to my father in December saying that he will be there for the family. And then
Okay,
when my father died,
so he just wrote you a note that you're the love of his
snapped
life?
in December. And then 5 weeks later, my dad died. And
Oh, that was
my
December a
husband
year
just-
ago then.
December 25th.
So when did your dad die?
2024.
When
No, my dad died in December of 25. My husband wrote my father and me each like love letters. My dad died February 25th of 25.
Okay.
And then 5 weeks later, my husband's telling me he's done. And he's
All right, so
involved
I'm
with this
confused on
woman
the time
who
here.
he never hung
So
with.
the letter then was December of 24. Is that what you're saying?
No, December of 25.
Your dad was already dead, and he wrote
No,
you.
my dad died.
Your dad
forgive
died
me,
in
forgive
February.
me. You are correct. You are correct. My dates are wrong.
Okay,
My
let's.
dates
It
are
doesn't.
wrong.
It doesn't matter.
Sorry.
I was just confused on the time. So let's forget all that. What you're saying is how to have hope, right?
How to have hope? How does someone go from I'm the love of his life and 5 weeks later he's done with the marriage? And
Because he went through a significant
involved.
emotional event. You see, people, when they go through
Yeah.
a significant emotional event, and you said he was very close to your father was like his father. And when people go through a significant emotional event, their emotions get all confused and all messed up. And so if he wrote that in December of 24, that you were the love of his life, and then just a few weeks later, he's involved with this other woman, then it probably somehow ties to the sickness and death of your father. Was your father sick for a while before he died?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. So
Okay.
so
Yeah,
that's
he was
that's
sick
why
for
and how that
7 months.
happens. Okay. That's why and how it happens. A
Mm-hmm.
significant emotional event. And for whatever reason, he has found this woman to be his medicine, if I can use that word. So that you see, if you think about it, you remind him of the man who died, the man who was close to him, the man that he revered as his own father. And yet any interaction with you, because of the fact that you're the offspring of that man who has died, actually touches that same nerve. And so while I would not in any shape, fashion, or form justify what he's doing, what he apparently has done is gone to another person so that he can find whatever emotional needs he's looking for without being reminded of the fact that he lost the man they revered so much. Now, no, it does not justify whatsoever what he has done in any shape, fashion, or form, but that's why people do that. Now, the thing about having hope is this. Hope is when you believe that something's going to happen, but you don't yet have proof. Because either you have hope or you have sight. Okay? Sight basically says, I see it, it's there, it's going to happen. And that's not hope, that's a reality. That's like, I'm expecting this to occur because of what I am watching. Hope, in the sense that we talk about, actually is something different than that. It's like, okay, I believe that if I continue to do the right things, talking about you, if I continue to do the right things, then what's going to occur is going to be good. Now, hopefully, that means that he's going to come back to me. He's going to come to his senses, straighten up, particularly now that the children particularly don't want to be around him that much anymore, and the daughter especially. And so hopefully that's going to happen. And so in that sense, hope is I'm going to keep doing the right thing. And I'm going to believe that there always is a consequence to that. And doing the right thing always has a positive consequence. Now, hopefully, as we just said, what that's going to do is bring him back to you as he gets over this limerick thing with the other person. I'm thinking that now it's about a year or so based on what you said. And so based on about a year ago, then the time on this thing is clicking. If it really is limerence, it's not going to last that much longer. Now, maybe longer than you want, but not that much longer. And so the hope is, I'm going to do what's right, and I know that I will benefit from that. If, and God forbid, but if he doesn't come back, if he doesn't straighten up, you have still done all the right things, and positive consequences will come to you. And so don't look at hope as being, I know that if I do this, he absolutely has to come back to me. Think of hope like this. I'm going to do the exact right thing. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Now, that should bring him back to me, and that increases the likelihood dramatically that he will come back to me. But my hope is not in him. My hope is in doing my own thing the way I should be doing it, that I'm being the best I can be. I'm being a good person physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually. And it's in that hope that you have confidence. And so if you're going to be measuring it by what he's doing on a given day, your hope is going to go up and down like this. And it's not really hope, it's wishing. Hope has to do with, I totally and firmly believe that if I am doing the right thing, then there's going to be a benefit to that. So I think what I'm going to do here before I take the next call is try to explain some things like this. You see, a marriage that falls apart that quickly is typically unusual. There's more of a pattern, and there's research that documents this as being the typical pattern. Now, yours may be different, but when we say typical, it means it occurs for a lot of people. And the first is that they're going to live unhappily together for a period of time. That most marriages that are going to head towards separation or divorce start that way. That for a while, things have not been good. They continue to live that way. And then things get bad enough that they seriously consider a dissolution. Like, okay, I don't know that I want to be in this anymore. And that might be one of you. It might be both of you. But that you go through that for a while. So it starts with, I know I'm unhappy, and finally evolves into, or maybe devolve is the better word, devolves into, I don't think I want to stay in this, which then will devolve into a separation, which then will devolve into a divorce. It's based on which research you believe, but if you separate, the likelihood of divorce is running somewhere between 75 and 80%. Now, and that probably sounds discouraging to Jen because she just told us her husband's living someplace else. And you're saying, Dr. Beam, you're taking my hope away. You're taking Jen's hope away. No, what I'm doing is telling you that it still can be done, but it is tougher. You hear that? Now, the reason I'm saying this is because some of you have not yet separated. that it may be on the table, it may have been talked about or discussed. And I'm suggesting to you, if at all possible, you delay that, prevent it from happening at all if you can. Because once you actually separate, the likelihood of divorcing is going to increase pretty dramatically. Okay. Now, hear me again. I'm not saying all hope is gone. But you need to know that once the separation takes place, it is more difficult to salvage the marriage. You say, well, why? It kind of comes back to our push-pull kind of thing. But let me give you a little deeper explanation to push-pull than I typically do. Push-pull can go like this. There's a thing called positive affect and a thing called negative affect. Now, negative affect is I'm so used to you doing things that evokes negative emotions within me that I begin to expect nearly everything you do to evoke negative emotions within me. And if you do something in passing that happens to evoke a positive emotion in me, then I give it a transient classification. Like, well, yes, that was nice, but that's not who he really is. That's not who she really is. And so I'm going to see that as just a blip on the screen, not something that's going to continue to happen. And so people who have a negative affect toward the other will mostly interpret everything negatively. And then will tend to look at the whole world negatively. Sometimes they'll look even at where they live negatively, or the house they're in negatively, or the job they have negatively. Not just the marriage, but things around them as being negative. Now, not everything, because if they're being lured away by a pull outside the marriage, and let's say the pull is another person, or a fantasy they're pursuing, or this fantastic job they think is going to solve all their problems and issues, then they won't be negative about that thing yet. But if they're living with a negative aspect, or a negative affect, I should say, then they'll be seeing a lot of different things negatively. And therefore, if you do something that evokes a negative emotion within them, they'll attribute that to an internal factor. Not just that, oh, well, they messed up and did something wrong, but that's who this person is. This person is selfish. Oh, you hear this a lot. This person's a narcissist. Oh, give me a break. Or this person delights in hurting me. And so they begin to think that anything you do that really does draw this negative emotion out of them, that they see that as being something having to do with who you are, not something that you do. Now, as you might expect, and I know this is going to sound discouraging, but stay with me till the end. As you might expect, once you get that mental image of the other person, once you make that hypothesis, if you will, that the other person is a bad person and wants to hurt you, it's difficult to change that view. Because anything that occurs, unless it's just a rare positive thing that they actually did like, and then again, like I said, they'll attribute that to just, that just happened. It's not who he or she is. But as they begin to develop more and more that you're a bad person, then anything you do, they will twist into proving that you're a bad person. If you just forget to say hello when you walk by them, it's like, see there, this person hates me, doesn't like me, doesn't want anything to do with me. Now, I realize everything I'm saying is probably taking your hope away and making you feel that, oh my goodness, that's how it's happening in my marriage, and you're telling me there's no hope. No. We specialize in telling people the truth, even when the truth hurts. What that means is I want you to face reality, because dealing in a la-la land, living in a fantasy land, is not going to help you one bit. We talk about acceptance as acknowledging reality. And sometimes you don't just need to accept what the other person is or has done or is doing. Sometimes you need to accept the reality of the situation that you're in. Okay, I'm going to acknowledge reality. Okay, so it does make it harder. But it helps you also know what you're fighting against. Okay, that's why when I did this, rather than getting a positive reaction, I got a negative reaction. People talk about it all the time. I started working on my pies, and my spouse, rather than being drawn more to me because I'm working on my pies, it has now become very critical that I'm working on my pies. You know why they're critical? because you're messing up their narrative. The idea they have about you in their head, the way that they're viewing you through this negative affect, when you start changing that, it messes them up. And often then they will attack you. Why are they attacking you? Because they're trying to still convince themselves that you're this negative person with all these negative affects, aspects, and they want nothing to do with you. And so you say, well, then good grief, what am I doing? That's why we tell you that when you do things such as work on your pies, that you don't watch their reactions, because if you're doing it to get the reaction from them that you want, if they don't give you that reaction, you'll stop doing it. And what I'm trying to help you understand here is that sometimes you're going to get that negative reaction, not because you're doing the wrong thing, but because you're doing the right thing. And you need to keep on doing the right thing because that narrative in their head has become so strong, and they've evidenced it with all kinds of things. Well, she did this or he did that. Even going back years. Well, back in 1972, they really do sometimes go back years. I've watched it. It's fascinating. And now that you're not meeting that expectation, now that you're changing your behavior, it messes them up. Well, I'll quit saying it that way and put it this way. It confuses them because their narrative doesn't work anymore. So that's why you don't stop doing it. Even if they criticize, even if they complain, even if they attack, you don't stop. Because what you want to do is amass such a great amount of positive evidence that eventually their narrative about you begins to change. You say, well, that's not fair. Why is all the work put on me? You're right. It's not fair. But this is the person over here, your spouse, who wants out. So they're not going to listen to anything I tell them. If I say you need to do this, 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 and that, they're going to say, but I want out of the marriage. Quit telling me what to do to save the marriage. And so the only person I can talk to who really wants to save the marriage is you, which means that you're the one who would have to do these things consistently over time, as consistently as a human being can. You will not do it perfectly. Nobody does. And don't freak out when you mess up every once in a while. It's consistency over time as much as any human being can be consistent, consistency over time. And that's why sometimes people get so frustrated with us when they say, well, how can I get him or her to see the error of their ways and come back right now? Well, I can't. Now, God can, and maybe he will answer your prayers that way. Some situation might occur where all of a sudden they just come to their senses. But typically, it's going to have to go through a process where that they change the narrative about you. Now you're saying, but what about the narrative they have about the other person they're involved with, if they're involved with another person, or the fantasy they're chasing, or whatever it might be they're doing out there? What's going to change their narrative about that? That will eventually change itself because of the fact that it's not as perfect as they think it is. He or she is not as perfect as they want them to be. And eventually they start realizing that that narrative, which has all been based on positive affect, everything about it's good, everything about this person's wonderful, everything about that new career is going to be awesome, it's amazing, 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 that eventually starts to crack because nothing is perfect. No one, no thing. And you can't affect that anyway. And the more you try to affect what's happening out there, the worse it's going to get. And so what do? You work on you. Now, again, have I made it clear that it's not always easy? Have I made it clear that it really requires an amount of work? That's why in our workshop, I'll often ask people, are you sure that you really want to do this? Because there are going to be days when you're thinking, why, oh, why, oh, why? I mean, why don't I just go do something else? Why don't I be happy? Why don't I kick him to the curb, as Jen just said a few minutes ago? It's because of the fact that if indeed the person that you still love is still in there, in other words, he or she may be doing some really crappy stuff right now, stuff that makes you think, who in the world is he? Who is she? I don't even know this person. If you believe that the good person is still in there, and if you still love the good person that is in there, then it's worthwhile to rescue these people if you're willing to do the work. But there's no magic formula. There's no pill I can give you, and there's no pill we can give you to sneak into his or her coffee. It really is about you doing the right thing and understanding that right now they may have a negative narrative about you. Okay, rather than bemoaning that, acknowledge reality. Accept that. Okay, that's where we're starting. Going to make it a little tougher. But because I know what to do, and that's what we teach you, because I know what to do, we can go through this, and with time and consistency, this whole situation can change. Now, I can't guarantee you that it always will, but I can tell you we've been working with couples for 30 years. And we have witnessed it again and again and again when everybody thought it was impossible. Everybody. As a matter of fact, sometimes after the first day of the workshop, I'll tell my wife, Alice, that couple doesn't have a hope. Sometimes even I give up. And by the third day of the workshop, you see them turning around, things changing, and they're still together now 15 years later. And it's like, do the right things, and you'll get the right consequences, the right results. It may not be every result you want, but it's going to be good. And that's what your hope is placed in. If I do the right things, good things are going to happen. Hopefully with my marriage. But on the rare chance that maybe it won't work there, there's still going to be good things for me, for my children, for people that I care about. And that's what we're suggesting. Pardon me while I give a cough here. Allergy season in Tennessee. Well, I'm sorry about that little rant. I hope maybe it made some sense to some of you, and I truly hope that it gave you hope in the right sense, in the sense of it's not magic, it's not immediate, it's an effort over time, consistency over time. Well, let's go to Jeremy from Huntsville. Hi, Jeremy, are you still there? Jeremy?
Hi, Dr. Joe.
Hi, Jeremy. How may I help you, my friend?
I'm so grateful for your time. So I'm trying to figure out my path forward in my situation. So my wife has been in an affair for 4 years.
How many years?
And we had 4 years.
4 years, okay.
And I've known about it for 4 years. And we went through the workshop in the summer of 22, I believe. And the affair continued, and we finally came to an arrangement where she would give up on the LO, and we quit our jobs. We pulled all 4 kids out of school and moved away to get away from the LO, to get away from the situation, and start over.
When did that happen?
3 months. In July.
Okay.
And 3 months in, she was already talking about wanting a divorce again because she felt like nothing was getting better. Of course, she's kind of sitting over in her side of the room in a puddle because I don't think limerence ended. I think she just made the decision to go, and so she's mourning that loss. Anyway, so we were seeing a marriage counselor, and things just weren't getting better. She didn't see things getting better and wanted to get out. The marriage counselor has suggested that she basically check herself into an inpatient clinic for 6 to 8 weeks, like an intensive program.
For what reason? What kind of program is this?
I'm trying to think. It's called the Meadows. It's out in Arizona. It's like people that deal with severe depression, really, and they do drug addiction and things like that as well. But
she's depressed. Like, is that correct? Severely depressed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Lots of history with abuse and things like sexual things that aren't fun to speak of, and so she really, and that's kind of played into our troubles because the past has come up and it has affected our marriage. And but anyways, she is supposed to start that in a week or two, but she recently went out of town and came back, and I had this really sick feeling. It was basically the same as when I found out about the first affair, and she left her phone unlocked, and I did what I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
I know it's a no-no, but there was a text. It was just open. I could see it.
I see.
And from some guy where she went out of town. So
Some
now
new
there's
guy.
another affair.
Some new guy, not the
new
old
guy.
guy.
Correct. But still talking to the old guy.
Any idea how she met the new guy?
Went out of town.
She met him while she was out of town?
Met him in a bar.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
As far as I know.
Okay. Do you know who Dr. Charles Hayden
feel-
is by any chance?
I think I've heard you speak of him before.
Yeah, he's in Huntsville. And that's where I see here it says you're from Huntsville, Alabama. He has a thing that they do there. It's been tested all over the world, interestingly. And they have like a 90% depression cure. And it's a thing that they can do in 2 days, and it can dramatically alter depression. No, I'm not trying to talk her out of or you out of her going to this other place in Arizona. It may be wonderful. It may be amazing. It may be awesome. But I'm saying right there in Huntsville, Dr. Charles Hayden, you've got a resource there that's absolutely amazing.
Right. Okay. I appreciate that. She's actually not going to the one in Arizona. There's because she's decided she can't afford to do that. Mm-hmm. So she's doing like it's an online, it's 3 nights a week, 3 hours a night. And the program goes maybe 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. So she's doing that instead.
And that's for depression.
Where I'm conflicted yes. Well, and to deal with all the history and stuff too. Where I'm stuck is when you get your spouse to agree to go to the workshop, we're commonly said, don't try to solve any relationship problems, between now and when you get to the workshop. So I'm in my head, I don't want to upset things by, I guess I want to make sure she goes and she gets the help she needs. And I worry if I bring anything up now, then maybe she'll just throw in the towel, not go get help. And so I feel kind of stuck.
So how can I help you? What can I do for you, Jeremy?
I guess I'm just wondering, is there any value in talking to her about what I saw on her phone, or do I just stay the course? And
let me ask you a question, my friend. What exactly did you see on her phone?
It was her responding to him. Thank you for making me feel like I've never felt in a long time, and also described his extremity.
I see. So therefore, obviously, it was sexual. And so we're talking about a one-night stand, right? This is somebody she didn't know, somebody she met on the road.
That is what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's as stupid as it is that I looked, I did not scroll. I don't know why. If you're going to look, you might as well. But I was afraid of seeing or reading things that I really didn't want to see.
I see. Okay. So what do you think would happen if you confronted her right now? Well, confrontation is probably the wrong word. If you were to approach her and say, hey, I know this is going to aggravate you, but your phone was lying there. It was open, and I looked, and I saw that. Would you be willing to talk about it? How do you think she'd react?
I think she would be furious.
Okay. Are you having any kind of relationship at all?
In a way, yes. We go out every so often. We're not intimate. We're not like everything's normal, but we go out and have fun. We shoot pool. We go out and eat dinner. We went out of town this weekend with the kids for.
Do y'all still make love?
Some, after Christmas activities. Huh?
Do you still make love?
Sir?
Do you still make love to each other?
I wouldn't call it that on occasion, but it's usually after. Like if she hadn't had a couple drinks, then she probably wouldn't at all. Where she was at least.
Okay, so at least occasionally you're having sex, but you're not calling it love.
Correct.
Okay, Jeremy, I can't tell you what to do here, but let me give you the principle. If you think, okay, the first thing you have to start with before you don't start with the question of should I bring it up to her. The question you have to start with, what would I hope to accomplish if I brought it up to her? What would be my goal? And so then you write that down and say, let's say your goal is that you'd want her to acknowledge it, to talk to you about it, that she'd be sorry about it, etc. Let's say that's what you want. Then you write that down. That's my goal. Then you write down, okay, what other things might happen instead of that? And so over here, based on what you said, you might write, she'll be furious and she'll pull her away from me. She'll feel her privacy has been violated. And so if there are any others, you write those down as well. So you just write those across a sheet of paper. First, what I want to happen. Secondly, what else could happen. And then you have to take a guess. Based on your knowledge of her, you can pray for wisdom if you're a religious man, and you say, God, give me wisdom. Or if you don't believe in God, you do the best you can, and you say, which one of these reactions is the one I'm most likely to get? Now, based on what you just said a minute ago, the most likely reaction is not going to be, let's talk this over. You said the most likely reaction is going to be that she's going to be furious. Now, if that's the most likely reaction you're going to get from that behavior, the question becomes, then why would you do it? Now, maybe then you change the approach. Maybe rather than confronting her about that, I say something differently, like, I know that we're not pulling it together yet. I fear that you may be being pulled away from other things, and then you approach it that way. If you did it that way, rather than saying, I found this on the phone, how do you think, what's the most likely way she would react?
I am not sure.
What would your guess be?
I tend to think that she might lie, but my experience with her is that when she has a very hard time lying.
Okay.
So
well, I'm not talking about
it would be a very hesitated response.
I'm not talking about bringing up any likelihood. I'm just saying I feel that we aren't growing, that we aren't close, which could make either one of us susceptible to somebody else. Can we talk about what we could do to grow closer together? I'm talking about that kind of approach. How do you think she might react to that?
I think that would be okay. I think she would try to reinforce that that's what she's trying to do by getting help. Like she feels that this is kind of like her last effort. If she doesn't get if this doesn't work, nothing will.
Okay, then you might say to her something like, and that's wonderful, I love that. But at the same time, I'd love for us to talk more. You see, what it comes down to, Jeremy, is if I'm going to do A because I want B to happen, is there a greater likelihood of C or D or E or F? And if so, are those good or bad? Well, if the greater likelihood is C and C is bad, then don't do this action. But then rather than giving up, you can change that action. You can say, okay, what if instead of doing A, I do A plus? And so A plus now is not the same thing at all. It's going to be, let's talk about our relationship. And then you think about, okay, what will be the result? B, C, D, E. And if you think it's a great likelihood that it will be what you want to happen, then you give it a shot. If the greater likelihood in your mind is that no, it's going to be negative, then that's something that you don't do. And that's a general principle for everybody. It's like, if I'm going to do blank, what do I think the real reaction is going to be? Well, if that's not good, then don't do blank. But I may do a different blank. Okay, if I do that, what kind of reaction do I think likely will happen? If that's bad, I won't do that one either. Well, here's another blank. If I do that, I think that would have a good reaction. Then that's the one you do. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you do that?
Okay. I believe so. It'll take me a minute to kind of sort through it. But I think I can
Sure.
come up with something.
Are you working with one of our coaches by any chance?
I had been, but it's been a while.
Okay. Okay. Well, you sound to me like a pretty intelligent
I'd worked
fellow.
with.
Are you?
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, then use your brain here. Are you a religious man?
Yes, sir.
Then pray. Pray for wisdom. Pray for wisdom. Don't pray for God to make her do anything. Pray for wisdom that God will guide what you do. Okay?
Okay, I understand.
All right, Jeremy, you
Thank
take
you.
care, my friend. Take care. Okay, before we go to the next caller, it's time for Michael's Motivational Minute.
Hey friends, Michel de Montaigne was a 16th century nobleman and philosopher. He wrote a series of essays on just about every single topic that you can think of that has to deal with the human condition. Maybe he was the original Substacker. But he, in these essays, he sought to answer two different questions. One, what do I know? And then how do I live? What do I know about what is true? What do I know about what I observe? What do I know about my own beliefs and values? What do I know? And then how do I live based on what I know? How do I live out of my beliefs and my values, what I know to be true to reality? What does that cause me to do? How does that cause me to live? And that's really what we do here at Marriage Helper. We want to give you the teaching, the tools, the resources, everything that you need to understand what's going on under the surface of your heart, what's going on under the surface of your spouse, what are the dynamics when it comes to relationships. We want you to understand what is true. We want you to understand what your own beliefs and values are. And then we want to help you live that out. Learn how to live based on what you know. And in our how to live aspect, that's attending one of our workshops. It's getting into our community, talking with community club, or listening to some of the teachings from our coaches, maybe even having a one-on-one with our coach or interacting with the community there. We want to help you understand, okay, well, what do I know about myself? What do I know about this situation? What do I know about what is possible for change to happen? And then we want to help you answer the question, how to live. How is that going to impact you moving forward? That's why I love being here at Marriage Helper. That's why I love being able to connect with the men and women on our team and the men and women that are our clients, the people that we get to serve just like you. Let us help you understand what it is that you need to know in order to move forward and then how to live that out. It's an honor to serve you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left. I'm going to try to do something that is going to be pretty unique. I'm going to try to do 2 callers in 10 minutes. What do you think, Jason? Think it can be done? All right, first let's go to Cassidy from Texas. Hi, Cassidy. How may I help you?
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Rocking and bobbing.
Oh, good. So I have been doing the Solo Spouse did the workshop, and have been doing coaching for about a year now. Last when I started, we talked not very long ago about compromise circles, things like that. Vinny's an excellent coach. I've worked with other coaches. Anyway, I can't say enough good about you guys, and I'm trying to be my best self. Long story short, I am a doctor. I'm trying to make it real simple. A doctor, and all these insurance contracts just dropped, and so my work was getting lighter. I will have to move to another state to have an income, and I will need to do it quickly because, like, I'm supposed to see 30 patients today, and I have 7. And so
I understand.
I will have to relocate, have a good opportunity. I feel like it will help me grow. I feel like it will be good for our children. I feel like it'd be good for my husband. However, he obviously resistant in general, and I try to have this conversation with him, and he wants to stay behind or stay where we are, but yet he doesn't work, and he doesn't provide an income. trying to be accepting, understanding. I can work with that for about maybe a month, even though I don't like it, and
Yeah.
and drive 10 hours and do off and on weeks, and I can do the best I can with the situation. I worry about how he'll treat our children while I'm gone, especially the oldest, because he seems to really be digging his claws into him lately, and so
So Cassidy, may I ask a couple of questions? Question number one: why does he want to stay?
Sorry, Dr. Joe.
Why does he want
What
to
is
stay?
what?
Why does he want to stay?
He has no really good rationale, so that's strange, right? The reason I would be willing to work with a month would be because anything with the children's schooling,
Right.
making that prettier.
I
But
understand.
he would wait till at least March. And another thing is, with him, obviously nothing's good enough, so this new position is still not good enough. Well, it's sure as hell better than nothing.
I can understand that. Well, Cassidy, let me recommend something to you. You went through the solo workshop?
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Do you remember?
Everything's been really helpful. Oh,
Do you
against
remember
the
that
wall.
when you went to the solo workshop, you remember the part on Sunday morning when we talked about reconciliation, that when we went through
Yes,
the compromise model from Dr. Gottman?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I would
I've been trying to utilize it like crazy.
Okay. Have you done that with him? That worked through that compromise model?
Yes.
Like, okay, what is your core issue? Here's my core issue. How can we figure out how to compromise this? Have you actually done that specifically?
I have done it to the best of my ability. I wonder if I have fell short on accident somehow. I don't really know how. And that's where I'm trying to be as compromising as I feel that makes sense. And I worry about, doing anything different than what I'm doing. I don't think things can get much worse. So the worst thing is I travel, and he never comes to me, and I always come to him, but then I'm paying for two places for
Yeah.
us to be separate
That
when
doesn't-
it literally doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that doesn't
Like,
make sense to me
literally.
either. And so the core issue
Yeah.
for you is you need to move to make a living. That's your core issue.
Yes.
And his core
Absolutely.
issue is he doesn't
Yeah, I
want to
was
move.
working on a different thing, son, but this has
Okay.
became much more priority.
Right. I got you. But his core issue, we really haven't identified yet, right? Are you still doing coaching with any of our coaches?
Yes. I told Vinny, but this is in like a pretty fresh thing.
Okay.
So I told Vinny, I said, I'm going to call to the show today.
Okay.
I'm trying to do coaching. I'll be honest, I've lost some income. And so,
Yeah.
I haven't gotten paid from some of these contracts, like even the VA. And so it's hard right now.
Yeah.
It
Man,
is.
you spend a lot of money learning how to do what you do as well, and a lot of time. And what you do is needed
Yeah.
needed by society. I recommend that you get Vinny to help you think through how to do the compromise model. And if your husband is willing to get on the call, that you have asked Vinny to help you both work through the compromise model, particularly in identifying, okay, what's the core issue for your husband? And I'm not going to guess what it is because that would be simply a guess. But I think it's all going to come down to identifying what is the core issue for your husband. And it could be anything from rebellion to he resents the fact that you make more money than he does, to blank, to blank, to blank, to blank. You understand what I mean? And therefore, understanding his core issues will become crucial. And he may be more forthcoming under some gentle, kind questioning from Vinny in digging into to understand what that core issue is. And so that's my recommendation, Cassidy. I understand your situation, and it's important. Your core issue, making a living in this day and time, is, well, in any day and time, it's crucial. Plus, what you do, people need. And so I recommend that you get Vinny to help you go through that. I'm so sorry I have to move so fast, but we're going to move really quick to Alicia from Tennessee. Alicia, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Dr. Joe. How are you?
Rockin' and bopping. What part of Tennessee are you in, my friend?
Nashville area.
Oh, well, okay. I'm in Spring Hill, so we're neighbors. How may I help you today?
Yes, sir. So, been a fan of your content for a while,
Well, thank you.
and unfortunately, on the receiving end of my husband's affair, and wondering, it's not the first time, the same partner over the course of several years. Just recently found, after going to counseling a couple different times, his initiation of counseling and us working together and separately, come back, 2 or 3 different times to make things work. We do have children, and just recently found there is still secretive communication going on between the two of them. My question, I guess, is, I'm a God-fearing lady, but at what point is enough? When do you say that, the other person doesn't want to work it out? I hate to tear apart my family, but if somebody's not willing to change.
Okay, I hear a little bit of a contradiction in his behavior. He continues to talk to this other person, but he was the one that recommended counseling. Doesn't that sound conflicting to you?
The first time was my recommendation for
I see.
counseling. The second time, his.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
Just this year.
Okay, so it hasn't been that long.
6 months ago.
Does that indicate that at core, he really does want to save the marriage?
I don't know.
At core, do you?
A year ago, maybe, but constantly be lied to. I don't. How do you trust? How do you rebuild that when there's nothing put in place for trust to be rebuilt?
I agree.
And it's constantly being broken.
Yeah, we call that process calculative trust, and trust will not come back unless it can be rebuilt like that. So, if you were going to look on a scale of 1 to 100, what score would you give your desire to leave the marriage right now?
I don't want to be honest.
Well, I think honesty is always the best.
Yes. Wanting to leave where how the marriage has been over the last 3 years, I'm pretty up there. Knowing what it once was prior to, the affair, I wouldn't want to leave
Gotcha.
that.
So you love what was, but not what is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought I did.
Have you guys been through our workshop by any chance?
Very resistant.
You or he or both?
With that, he, and financially, it's a hardship.
I see.
But the resistance was on him.
If I could resolve the financial issue, would he come?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The exact words were being in a room full of, people. I don't think he wants to acknowledge it in front of others.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, the good thing about our workshop is that nobody has to tell us anything they don't want to. And in other words, what people open up and say, they choose. We don't twist anybody's arms. We don't manipulate. We don't push. None of that kind of thing. And some people will open up and say, this is what's going on. Some people don't. We do ask them questions, but when it comes to self-revelatory information, each person decides for himself or herself. Well, let me give you some principles here, and then would you be offended if I take your number and ask one of our people to call you about maybe if I can help with this thing?
No, not at all. I wouldn't be offended.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to get your number, and I've got your number, as a matter of fact, already, and we're going to do that. But here's the principle about when do you give up, okay? It has to do, and again, this is the principle. You always have to make your decision. It has to do when you start being damaged, not just hurt, but damaged physically, intellectually, emotionally, or spiritually, body, mind, heart, or soul. So, for example, when a person's health starts failing because of the stress and the immune system begins to fail because of all that, we say, okay, you're going to die It may not die today, but you're setting up your death if you don't do something about that. Intellectually is when you can't function, like you can't work anymore because you're thinking about this all the time. You can't get you find yourself so belayed by this, so distracted by this that you really have difficulty functioning in life in a useful way. Emotionally, okay, I'm beginning to have severe depression or continual panic attacks, etc. Spiritual would be, okay, this is beginning to have a truly negative effect on my relationship with God. Now, we say if that's happening to you or your children, that those would be principles to think about when you say, I want to leave the relationship, I want to leave the marriage. Because if it's destroying your children physically, you may need to. If it's destroying you physically, you may need to. Or if it's where the kids' grades have gone from A's to D's, and now they can hardly think and that kind of stuff anymore. Or when they can't sleep at night, or when they're having terrible nightmares, or when they're going through depression. And of course, this also is applicable to you. Or spiritually, they're beginning to doubt God. Then we would say those are the times when it would make sense to pull the plug. But only you can decide those things. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
It makes complete sense. I feel like I could hit all of those things that you mentioned the first go round.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, now I feel as though I'm just so disconnected from it all that I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's your decision, my friend. But we love to try to help save marriages. How old are your children?
Teenagers.
Okay, even for their sake, even as teenagers, divorce will have an effect on them. I'm not saying it's going to destroy them. I'm not going to say it's going to ruin their lives. But there's all kinds of research and studies about how divorce affects people. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to have one of our guys give you a call just to talk. And if you don't want to come, that's fine. Nobody will put any pressure on you whatsoever. I just want to offer you this one opportunity as a last gasp, if you will. Okay?
I understand. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Alicia, thank you. Take care. Okay, hopefully on next Wednesday, Dr. Holmes will be with us. Dr. Holmes is on it. Well, is she going to still, Jason's our producer, I'm going to ask him, is she still going to be on that same deadline with that same project next week? Who knows? It may be that we don't see Kimberly Holmes again this year. I'm kidding. I'm joking. She's working really hard. She's behind on a whole lot of things. Actually, so am I. Thank you for being with us today, and Lord willing, we'll see you next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Thank you.